After finishing my first lizard mosaic, I was left over with all these really tiny itty bitty 1/4 inch pieces of little strips of fabric. And once again, I didn't want to throw this all out. They were so pretty. So I decided to do, this is not really a mosaic quilt here. It's a collage. But these were the pieces left over from the first mosaic project. So what I did was I laid them all, just scattered around a piece of fusible interfacing. I laid the fusible interfacing with the glue side up, and then just scattered all of those pieces onto it, and I used the release paper. You can also use a Teflon sheet to press them all down. And so I would press them, and whatever was loose I would just keep scattering around until they covered the whole surface of the interfacing. So once that was done, I layered this collage. So I put down a piece of backing fabric and the batting, and I used black background fabric because I wanted to, you can still see through little bits of the interfacing, so I wanted to give it a little bit more depth. And then the collage piece, and I layered a piece of tulle on top to hold it all in. So then this I quilted, just kind of an organic type of quilting, and it was ready to be appliqued. I cut out a little lizard with my silhouette cameo and placed this on top. So this was the last step, and I just raw edged applique it, and then bound it, and that was the way it was finished. So all in all, I think it was just a fun little project and a way to use up all those little pieces of fabric. Believe it or not, after having finished this little piece, I used all my tiny itty bitty 1/4 inch strips that I had left over from the previous project. However, I still had some 1/4 inch squares left over. And the 3 1/4 inch squares, I still have quite a few. So I'm going to work on a third lizard project. I'm not obviously going to be able to use up all of these fabrics, but at least I'm going to try to get rid of all of these. And the rest I think I'm just going to have to put into some fabric collage. But I thought, what else could I do to use up some of these fabrics? And I thought, well, since I cut this little guy with my silhouette cameo, I had a piece left over from where that little lizard was cut out. I thought, I don't want to throw this out either, so let me see how I can use this. So what I'm going to do is, I've already drawn him onto a background piece of fabric. Okay? I'm going to use a fusible web, and I'm actually going to fuse this to the top in the same way that I did with the first project, so that when I remove this, I will have the sticky side of the fusible web up on top. And then I'm going to use these these 1/2 inch squares to cover the lizard. And here it really doesn't matter if I cover everything I need to. In fact, cover like right outside the lines of the lizard. Okay? Because then I'm going to come and I'm going to fuse this on top. And as far as the outside, before I do that, I'm going to use some of the 3/4 inch pieces to fuse on the outside, around like this. And then the process is going to be similar to what I've done with the others as far as covering it with the tulle and quilting. So let me first go and fuse this on, and then we'll continue from there. So as I did with the first mosaic quilt, I'm going to set these, and in this case I really don't care about staying inside the lines because that will all be covered with this piece. But I do kind of want to follow the line to give it the little mosaic feel. So this should go be faster because I don't have to worry about fitting the pieces. Okay, so once again, I fused my fusible webbing to the right side of my fabric. And so I am just, this is all very sticky, so I'm just putting down the squares of 1/2-inch squares. Oops, and I forgot I needed to leave a little bit of space. That's right, I forgot all about the grout line. So let me take these and redo this, just leave a little bit of space in between each of the little squares. Okay, so now I have to check with my piece here and see how this fits and if I've missed anything. Which is tricky because this is so sticky. I guess I should actually check it from the other side too. I think I'm going to check this with my light box and make sure that I've covered all of the areas that I need to. In any case, then here the next step will be to cover the outside. Let me see, this goes here. Looks pretty good here. I might have to put a few more, but everything else looks good. Okay, so the only part where I really need to be a little bit careful about is along these edges here, these very thin. But I think that what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go ahead and cover the See, this goes here, and just cover the whole area down along here. I'm not going to worry about this part here, and of course I've got this area here, so this would be just kind of like around this area, and then just be I'll check, and if I need to trim anything after I've put all these pieces down, then I'll do that. So I'm going to use the bigger squares for that. Actually, I think I'm just going to go ahead and cover all of this because it's so sticky that I keep having trouble placing my little lizard here. So I think that if I just put some fabric on, it will help. So I can check. And then if necessary, cut back. Even though this will be covered. But it's just too sticky to work with. Okay, so in the same way that I've done with the others, what I'm going to do right now then is fuse this and layer the things. I'm going to put the tulle on top, and I'm going to quilt this before I applique this other piece. So that's what I'm going to go and do right now. Okay, so this has been quilted, and so now the last thing to do here is to align this little piece and fuse it, and I'm going to raw stitch around the edges. So ready to raw stitch applique this. I fused it on, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that, raw stitch applique, and trim it and bind it, and I will be back to show you the finished project. So here's the finished little quilt. The only problem, I didn't realize I didn't plan correctly, was in laying down these squares here. I should have checked that a little bit better, so that I would have had full squares. But in any case, the raw edge applique really does give a lot of really good definition, so it turned out well. And so now that's a part of a trio. So they're the 3 little quilts, all finished. And kind of fun. I don't know if I'll be doing any mosaic quilts anytime soon, but this was kind of a fun thing to do. Thank you for watching.